Hello, MUNers. My name is Bill Graham. I'm the representative of the Italian Diplomatic Academy to the UN and the former vice chair of the NGO Committee for Education, Learning, and Literacy at the United Nations in New York. It's good to see you have such great participation at your Model UN conference dedicated to global governance and multilateralism. Multilateralism has been one of the greatest concerns of the Secretary General for most of his time in office. As the UN was preparing for its 75th anniversary, that was in 2020, the Secretary General made it a point to say the 75th anniversary should not be a party because the UN really didn't have much to celebrate, because people and entire countries were increasingly turning their backs on the idea of international cooperation and multilateralism. At just the time when the world was facing severe and potentially existential problems like climate change, poverty, inequality that could only be solved by international cooperation. There's another reason for my interest in the UN. I'm the president of the Rotary Dare to Be Great Global E-Club. Rotary is the largest association of business and civic leaders in the world, with some 1.4 million members in 46,000 locations across almost every country in the world. My tie has the flags of all the countries Rotary is in that have Rotary clubs, more countries and territories than are members in the United Nations. You're probably not aware of it, but Rotary played a significant role in the establishment of the UN. Even as World War II was still going on, Rotarians in countries around the world started talking about the need for an international body to create an environment to actively work for peace and prevent future wars. Rotary was asked to consult in the writing of the original UN Charter in San Francisco, and roughly half the country delegations to the Charter Conference included members of Rotary. In addition, Rotary organized the meeting of international education officials in November of 1942, while the war was still raging. That was seen now as the beginning of the establishment of UNESCO. So I'm committed to promoting world peace and well-being through two sides, the UN and Rotary. I've been speaking at Model UN conferences for the better part of 10 years. My focus has generally been on the UN Sustainable Development Goals, the SDGs, and the role of youth in shaping the future of the world. My main point to you, to young people like yourselves, is that the world is not on track to avoid severe and potentially existential consequences of the major problems facing the world. And whether you like it or not, it's up to your generation to shape the world you want to live in. The Secretary General has already declared that our generation, my generation, has failed. Your generation will either take charge to shape the world you want to live in, or you will have to live with whatever my generation is leaving behind. And I don't wish that for anyone. Every year, governments and NGOs do more than 1 million projects around the world related to the problems and issues underlying the SDGs. But the UN has declared that only around 17% of the 169 SDG targets have any chance of being achieved by 2030, and none of these are really critical goals. 33% have made absolutely no progress at all since 2015, or are actually worse off today than they were in 2015. The remainder are not progressing fast enough to make a significant difference. How can it be that so much effort is resulting in so little progress towards achieving the SDGs? Our analysis shows that the biggest problem is that no one is really trying to achieve meaningful results relative to the global goals. Few to none of the many millions of projects have had meaningful progress in addressing the real problems that they have not had that as their goal. Almost all are not aimed at dealing with the problems at all, but rather are aimed at dealing with the consequences of the problems, such as the victims of those consequences. The other problem is that most of the remaining projects are local or regional in nature, i.e., uncoordinated grassroots projects. There are several problems with this. Only a very small percent of communities are actually engaged in any given year, maybe as few as 3 to 5% of communities worldwide, not enough to make a global impact. Lack of global coordination and organization means inability to take advantage of economies of scale, both with regard to expertise and with regard to resources, including funding. The result is many sub-effective, but generally highly inefficient projects. The key lies with the goals. It's crucial that you set goals based on what's needed, without regard to whether you know how to achieve them or even believe they're achievable. It's mandatory that you set goals based on what's needed because, as we all know, you can't hit what you don't aim for. And it's when you strive and stretch to do what you don't know how to do that you grow the most. Many of you might say achieving global goals is impossible. You shouldn't bite off more than you can chew. You've probably heard that often from adults. Steve Jobs, the founder of Apple Computers, said, "Those who believe they can change the world are the ones who do." Why would he think that? It's because those who think they can are the ones who try, and only those who try have any chance to succeed. That saying led to the tagline of our Rotary Club, which is the go-to place for those who are crazy enough to think they can change the world, the whole world, and daring enough to try. So you see, the secret is that you have to believe in yourself and your ability to find solutions if you really apply yourself. And you can't let failure deter you. Thomas Edison, the inventor of the light bulb and many other things, was seen as a failure by many because most of his experiments failed. But his response was that those are not failures, but simply eliminating all the ways that don't work. So he would get closer and closer to the solution that would eventually actually work. Most people are intimidated by big goals and challenges, so they never even try. They never get a chance to find out if they might have succeeded. After all, how do you know if you never try? A 10-year-old girl in Iowa in the United States saw on TV a lot of people who were suffering because of floods. This was related to Hurricane Katrina in New Orleans back in around 2007. She got some 10-year-old friends together and they decided they would raise money for the victims of the flood. They set their goal to raise $1 million. Many adults laughed in disbelief that a group of 10-year-olds would think they could raise $1 million. But those young girls said, yes, we will, and we'll do it by this date. Well, the date came and went, and they didn't raise $1 million. They raised $10 million. That girl was then on all kinds of talk shows on TV, and her comment was always, "What's all the fuss about? Any random kid could have done it. You just have to try." To prove her point, she went home and she raised $10 million again for other causes. At this point, I normally ask how many of you believe you could go out and raise even $1 million in the next few months. We don't have the time and the opportunity right now to go further into that. But think of the following. Michelangelo said, the problem for most people, it's not that they aim too high and fail. It's that they aim too low and succeed. They set their goals based on what they think they can do and not what's really needed. A young member of our club then reacted to that, though, and said, should we fail, let it not be because we did not aim high enough. But there's a very important fact here. Never believe that doing your part and assuming others will do their part will succeed. It never happens. Einstein supposedly said, repeating the same thing over and over, expecting different outcomes, is the definition of insanity. One of our people said, if you want something to happen or someone to do something, and you don't plan to cause it to happen to be done, that's the definition of wishful thinking. And wishful thinking is not getting something done. Remember, when you find ways to do things no one thought possible, you redefine the word impossible for you for the rest of your life. Do you think that 10-year-old girl in Iowa who raised $10 million twice will, in the entire rest of her life, ever be intimidated by the idea that she needs to raise $1 million for something? In addition to being the go-to place for crazy people, our Rotary Club is dedicated to the creation of extraordinary opportunities for young people to do more with their lives than they or their parents or teachers ever dreamed possible. If you have the right stuff, if you have a burning passion to better the world, the whole world, and you have unshakable belief in the ability of young people to change the world, and if you have unstoppable determination and tenacity, a never give up attitude, contact your faculty advisors to find out how you can get in touch with me, and we will put you in touch with other young people around the world who share that passion, and we will do our best to help you truly change the world. The name of our Rotary Club is Dare to Be Great. So I now challenge you, dare to be great. I hope I will hear from you. Thank you.